that you will have a test on Friday over order of operations and basically solving linear equations. We will review in class on Thursday. You'll have a review assignment to do. And then, of course, if you feel like you need extra studying, extra practice, which I highly recommend, then you can look back on the class website in Student View. Look at the class website and go back. All the old homework is posted. The pictures of the exercises are posted. Do more practice. Do more problems. Okay? That's how you get the grade you want. More practice. Okay? All right, so today we're solving proportions. And we're going to be doing two things. So the first thing is eventually we're going to solve the proportion. So example 1 is solve the proportion. But I also need us to state the excluded value of the variable. And that might be a new thing for you. It might not. But we're going to look at that first. So you should be writing example 1 in the directions. Example 1, solve the proportion. Remember to grade your notes. Example 1, solve the proportion. State the excluded value. So first of all, letter A is a proportion. A proportion is when you have a fraction equal to a fraction. And solving proportions is a nice and neat little method. We'll do that in just a second. But the first thing we're going to talk about is the excluded value. So you'll notice we have our variable. In this first problem, the variable is x. So we're trying to figure out what x can be, what value of x makes the left-hand side balance with the right-hand side. But there are some very special numbers that x is not allowed to be because those are in the denominator. So when I see that I have some variables in the denominator, I have excluded values. And we want to be very sure that we're paying attention to those things. So if you see that you have a variable in the denominator, then we're going to do this. We're going to say, hey, x minus 9 is not allowed to equal 0. Because denominators are not allowed to equal 0. And I can isolate x. How do I get x by itself? Add 9. Yeah, super easy, right? Okay. So, and what happens is we have x is not allowed to equal positive 9. That's one excluded value. And the reason it's excluded is because if I plug that 9 back in for x right there, we would have 4 over 9 minus 9. What is 9 minus 9? 0. And 4 divided by 0, what happens when the 0 is under? When the 0 is under, it's undefined. And that's my favorite saying. When the 0 is under, it's undefined. Undefined means it cannot happen. All right? It's not allowed to happen that way. We cannot divide by 0. And so we need to avoid that. And so we make sure that right off the bat we say, I know that x is not allowed to be positive 9. What else is x not allowed to be? Negative 5. Okay, and that comes from our other denominator here. X plus 5 is not allowed to be 0. If I move the 5, we would say x is not allowed to be negative 5. Now, do you have to show all that work for those excluded values? No. Can you see it right off the bat? What number minus 9? 9. It can't be 9. 9 doesn't work. Negative 5 plus 5. That would give me a 0. That doesn't work. All right, so these are the excluded values. They are the values that x is not allowed to be. So once you find those excluded values, then we can go ahead and solve the proportion. And solving the proportion, does anyone know how to solve a proportion? Starts with cross, multiply, yeah. So have a fraction equal to a fraction, then to solve it, I basically want to take this denominator and multiply it to the right-hand side. I'm going to take this whole denominator and multiply it to the numerator 4. That's going to be 4 times the denominator, x plus 5, and 6 times the other denominator, x minus 9. And when we cross multiply, you'll notice no more fraction. How genius is that? Nice, right? So cross multiplying is a great way to get rid of fractions. Only if you have a fraction equal to a fraction. Okay. Once you see something like this, then what do you need to do? Distribute. Very good. So we have 4 times the quantity x plus 5. What's 4 times x? 4x. And 4 times 5? 20. We need to distribute the 6. We need to distribute the 6. You get points for this, you know. You get points for notes, right? All right, good. And then so 6 times x is 6x. And then 6 times negative 9? Negative 54. Okay. All right, we want to get our x's on the same side. So what do you want to do next? We can do that. We can subtract 20. We can certainly do that. So I have 4x is equal to 6x. And what's negative 54 and a negative 20? Negative 74. And then what do you want to do? We want to move the x's and get those on the same side as well. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 6x. I like to say, when I taught algebra, letters on the left. I didn't give my algebra students an option. I just always said letters to the left. So I'm going to move that x over to the left-hand side. 4 minus 6 is negative 2x's equals negative 74. And then what? Divide by negative 2. So we get x equals 37. Positive 37. Negative divided by negative is a positive. All right, any questions on the first one? So again, excluded values. Excluded values come from variables, letters in the denominator only. Letters in the denominators are what we have to pay attention to. So on letter B, what are we looking out for? What do I need to look at for excluded values? Do I care about the 3? Do I care about the 8? No, there's no letters there. What do I care about? The r plus 6. Do I care about the r minus 3? Why not? It's on top. It's in the numerator. I don't care about it. I only care when we have letters in the denominator. That's all we care about for excluded values. So r plus 6 cannot equal 0. What does that mean? What can r not be? Negative 6. Very good. All right, so r is not allowed to be negative 6. So there is our excluded value. Only one we care about, letters in the denominator. And then we get to cross multiply. We're going to take my denominator and multiply it times the 3. We're going to take an 8 and multiply it times that numerator r minus 3. So it doesn't matter how you write this. I'm going to do 8 times the quantity r minus 3. And if you wrote 3 times the quantity r plus 6 first, it doesn't matter which side you're on. But again, no more fractions once you cross multiply. Then we want to distribute. If I distribute the 8, what do we get when we distribute? 8r minus 24. is equal to, if we distribute the 3, what do we get? 3r plus 18. Very good. I like to move my letters. I'm going to go ahead and move my letters. Letters to the left. So I'm going to take that positive 3r and subtract it to the other side. 8r minus 3r is 5r. And then what? Add 24. $18 plus 24 is 42. And then we can divide by 5. So we get r equals, you're welcome to leave it as a fraction. 42 over 5 is a perfectly wonderful answer, but on the answer key, everything is going to be divided down to a decimal. So 8.4 also is a good answer. Either one of those are perfectly acceptable answers. How do you find an excluded value? What do you need to look for? Letters in the denominator. Letters in the denominator. All right, and then how do you solve a proportion? Cross multiply. Very good. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have a worksheet. Check that out.